Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and welcome back to another Bitcoin technical analysis. And Bitcoin has a lot of potential to the upside coming its way, mainly because of this giant bull pull bull flag combo that's forming on the 4-hour chart, but even more so on the 1-day chart. Now, I did mention this in yesterday's video, but I really want to elaborate on this more and explain really what the potential of this is in the Bitcoin macro scheme. Now, I'm going to be talking about where it would bounce off of and where this would actually bounce up to, which is actually a pretty good number. So I'm going to be explaining all of this in today's video, but this is actually a pretty bullish case for Bitcoin. So if you are a bull, you're going to like what I have to say in this video. And if you are a bear, there's still some room for you in the short to near term. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this. Now let's talk about the little bit of bearish stuff first, because there is a lot more bullish stuff to come following this short-term little bear that we might have to go through in order to get a nice little breakout in the price action of Bitcoin. So we are on the 1-day chart right now, and I want to go ahead and explain exactly what this means as a bull pull combo. So when we have a bull pull bull flag combo, what this usually means is that we have this nice little run up over here being the bull pull, and then we have a falling channel as the form of our flag over here. So over here we can see this nice little parallel channel that I've drawn up. Of course, we see our resistance line right over here. We see our support line right around here being these two orange lines, and we can go ahead and delete this guy just so it doesn't confuse us. But now that we know what our channel is, we're kind of identifying that, okay, well, let's find out where the pull is. So if we know that this falling channel is a form of a bull flag, then what would be our bull pull? And that would, of course, be this giant run up that we've had following, or really not following, coming before the pull itself, or rather coming before the flag itself. So now that we know where the pull is and where the flag is, we can identify this as a potential bull pull bull flag combo. Now, what does this mean if it's a double bullish combo? Well, that means that the chances of it breaking out towards the upside are significantly increased. Now, some people are probably going to argue, well, Brendan, this isn't really a bull pull bull flag combo. But if you go over here and you type in the words literally in Google bull flag and go to images, you're going to see a lot of scenarios where you're seeing bull pull bull flag combos very similar to this. I mean, you go over here, the first one you see is going to be, of course, uptrend, falling channel, breakout. You go over here, same thing. This is our flag pull, uptrend, falling channel, breakout. It's just one of those things that is a very, very common thing in technical analysis. Again, you see it over here, flag pull, falling channel, breakout. It's just, time and time, and example again. So plenty of examples to kind of show that this is very much and very similar to a bull pull bull flag combo, and that this does usually indeed lead to a breakout. And we can see this again in another one over here. Now, this can also happen in the form of pennants, but this is not a pennant, so we don't really have to worry about this. But I do want to kind of show that this is a thing, and that you can literally just Google this and find out. Again, bull flag in an uptrend, of course it is this uptrend, and then this falling channel, and then of course the breakout. So what happens if the argument that this is just a giant bull pull with a giant bull flag? What would be the breakout from there? And that's kind of what I wanted to really elaborate on today. So bringing this all the way back, I want to highlight what makes this an official bull flag. And I think that the biggest thing for me is going to be verifying that it is indeed a falling channel. Now, in order to verify anything, we're going to need at least 3 touch points on resistance and on support. And that's kind of what I've been highlighting over in here. And so what we can see is we have 1, 2, 3 touch points on support, and 1, 2, 3, and even more so than 3 touch points on resistance. Now keep in mind, this is on a 1-day time scale. If you break this down to a 4-hour time scale, you're going to have even more touch points. One of the biggest hindrances from here is the fact that it actually got rejected. And I talked about this in yesterday's video, but of course it did double bottom over here, immediately broke any idea of a descending triangle, went right back up to resistance, and saw rejection. So now that it saw rejection, it's under the EMAs, and in fact it looks like it's actually showing rejection over in here from the 50 EMA on the 1-day time scale, which is pretty significant. So over here, if we kind of zoom this guy in, let me kind of elaborate on what this rejection is. So over here, now that we can see it better, we can see that this previous 1-day candle came up, got rejected from the 50 EMA on the 1-day. This candle has so far been rejecting from the same spot as well. Now, while it's not necessarily double topping here, it is definitely showing rejection from this 50 EMA, which is something that I am going to be keeping my eye on for that reason. And really what this is is all leading me to believe that this guy is going to come back down towards the bottom of this channel somewhere. Now, yes, it is kind of bouncing off of the heartline of this channel right now, but I think that it could very, very well come back down towards the bottom of this. I mean, there's really no reason why it couldn't, because this is where the 200 EMA is, this is where consolidation support is, and also this is where the bottom of this channel is. So if it does come something like down back into here, somewhere into the mid to upper $7,000 range, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, because then it would be bouncing off the 200 EMA as well as the bottom of support, and as you know, in addition to some other supports as well, and it could get a very nice bounce and even into a breakout of this channel. So what would a breakout of this channel actually look like? Well, if we're actually doing a breakout of the channel, we'd have to kind of zoom out just a little bit more, but we can imagine that it could, you know, at least be the size of its channel itself. So ideally what we'd have is probably a bounce off of 7,800, 7,700, somewhere around that area, and then we'd initially have our breakout probably somewhere around $10,700. So immediately that's a nice bounce of, what is that, it's a nice bounce of about $2,500 to the upside. And then the initial breakout following this could lead all the way back up to this 14K region, maybe even higher. So I want to kind of just talk about the potential for this guy as a swing trade when it does get down to support, because what this allows one to do is to actually, you know, let's actually throw in a long position here. So doing this from a risk versus reward ratio, what one can actually do is kind of plan this accordingly. So if we're having ourselves with a nice little stop loss over here, our stop loss is going to be at 2.4%, and our profit margin to the upside is going to be about 52.5%. So that's just to the previous high. Now it's very possible it passes the previous high upon this breakout. So if this is just a giant bull flag scenario, it's very possible that it goes close to it, you know, if not up to this previous high or even higher. But for argument's sake, we'll just say that this is going to be a very small breakout, and it only goes up about 53%. Now, if we're looking at a realistic breakout, if this is going to continue in this macro uptrend that it's been all year long, then we would ideally be looking at higher highs on Bitcoin, probably around the $17,000 area, because this is where this next layer of resistance is. Now, this is probably a best case scenario for Bitcoin, so keep that in mind. But in a best case scenario over here, this would be about a 113% swing trade if it plays out perfectly. Now again, nothing usually plays out perfectly, not to say that it's impossible, but again, I am giving both the worst and the best case scenarios on Bitcoin. So worst case, you get stopped out at 2.4% or something around that area, or rather not you, but I, you know, none of this is legal, financial, or tax advice in any way, disclaimer, but this is ideally the way that it would play out. And so I think that the minimal, if this was actually going to play out and this was a giant bull flag, the minimum that I would see this going is probably at least 50%, which is still a phenomenal trade in and of itself. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit more of the micro details before we get anywhere else, because this would actually be leading us close to the 618 golden fib retracement, in addition to being this consolidation support over here, which again is a very, very important thing. So I kind of wanted to highlight this because I did make the video yesterday saying, okay, the short term is bearish, and that is still kind of true. We are seeing rejection, but in the macro of things, this isn't really too bad if you're looking at it from a macro scale. As long as it bounces off from this range anywhere down in here, it's all right. Now, if it doesn't, it's not necessarily going to be a good thing, because it could really fall pretty substantially past this area if it does fail the 618. So moving on, I want to kind of wrap this video up and talk about, I guess we can go into some of the indicators like the RSI and the MACD now that we really have covered the flag in and of itself. But I just wanted to kind of highlight this because not a lot of people are talking about this, but it's definitely still the potential there. Now, someone brought up to me yesterday, they said, hey, could this be an inverse head and shoulders? I don't really think that it can. I think that instead of calling this an inverse head and shoulders, I think that this is much more correct to call this a falling channel, or even more so of a bull flag, rather than an inverse head and shoulders, because an inverse head and shoulders is usually more of a trend reversal strategy. It's more of like a bottoming strategy. And so to call that at the top of the trend isn't really, it's still possible for it to play out and be significant, but it's a whole lot less likely. Plus, it would be very, very sloppy. I mean, your shoulder and your neckline and everything would be so far apart here, and it would be so slanted. It would just be an incredibly sloppy head and shoulders, not one that I would want to trade off of, at least. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-day MACD and RSI. On the 1-day, again, still looking like it wants to print some bullish divergence on the MACD. On the RSI, it's still sitting absolutely incredibly neutral, and there's really not much to be saying about this over here. You can see that it was oversold, very, almost triple topped oversold over here, which would lead me to believe that it actually is going to come down a little bit more. But I mean, this is the 1-day RSI, it's not a candle chart, so we got to take it as that. On the 4-hour chart, this guy looks actually like it's pretty bullish. It was incredibly oversold over here, looking like it wants to at least retest some neutral areas, where it's at right now, but it wants to at least retest probably an overbought territory of around the 70 mark on the RSI from a 4-hour perspective. Moving back to the 4-hour MACD, really no divergence here, nothing significant to talk about. Lots of bearish pressure that you can clearly see for the past couple of days, or even more so the past week or so. But rounding off this video, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys were able to kind of see what I was talking about over here with this giant bull pull, bull flag combo, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Do you guys think that this is a possibility to actually play out into the future? Let me know in the comment section down below why or why not. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.